From the outside, I was the woman everyone envied. I had the dress, the diamond, and the doting husband. People posted pictures of our wedding with captions like relationship goals and fairy tale love. But behind those filtered frames, something didn't feel right. Or maybe I didn't feel seen. My husband, Liam, was stable, consistent, and safe. He said, "I love you," every morning, brought me coffee in bed on Sundays, and always remembered to fill the tank in my car. But he wasn't electric. He didn't look at me like I was the center of the universe. Not the way I saw people look at their partners on TV. Not the way strangers looked at me when I walked into a room. I started noticing how good it felt when other men complimented me at work. How alive I felt when someone liked my photo within seconds of posting. It wasn't that I didn't love Liam. I just wanted to feel wanted. Craved it. So I started leaning into that, posting more, laughing louder, telling stories that made me the star, even when they weren't exactly true. And when Liam didn't match that energy, I told myself he was the problem, that he just didn't know how to love a woman like me. But I didn't realize yet. I wasn't seeking love. I was addicted to validation. It started with eye rolls, quiet ones, small moments when Liam didn't laugh at a joke I told, or when he gently corrected me in front of friends. Nothing major, but enough for me to feel bruised. I'd tell myself, he's just tired, or he doesn't mean anything by it. But every time I walked away from those moments, I carried something heavier. So I did what came naturally. I pushed harder. I posted photos of myself looking radiant, and captioned them with vague quotes about being misunderstood. When people commented, "You're glowing," or "Hope he knows what he's got," I felt seen. Liam never said things like that online. He wasn't the public type. He thought showing up in real life mattered more than double taps. I wanted him to play the role of the admiring husband on social media. I wanted him to comment hearts and fire emojis. I wanted to feel worshipped, publicly. Instead, he'd ask, "Why do you care what strangers think?" He didn't get it. Or maybe he just didn't get me. That's when I started imagining how life might feel with someone who did. When attention didn't come naturally, I began manufacturing it. Subtly at first. If Liam seemed distracted, I'd pick a fight over nothing. Accuse him of not listening, not caring, and not appreciating me. He'd look stunned, caught off guard. I'd storm out of the room or cry on the couch, waiting for him to come running with apologies and affection. And he always did. That was the thing. He always tried to fix it. Bring me tea, rub my back. Ask what he did wrong, even when he hadn't done anything at all. That attention became a drug. One I needed more and more often. So the fights grew bigger, louder. I started rewriting our history in arguments, claiming he never really supported me, that he didn't believe in me, and that I'd given up everything for him. He'd stare at me like he didn't recognize the woman he married. I almost didn't recognize her either, but she was powerful. She could stop everything in its tracks with a single glare. I made myself the victim, and in return I got the attention I thought I deserved. What I didn't understand yet was that every performance had a price, and I was running up a bill I couldn't afford. The first time Liam didn't come running after a fight, I thought he must have misunderstood. I had slammed the bedroom door, loud enough for the neighbors to hear, and waited. 10 minutes, 20, an hour, nothing. When I crept out, expecting him to be sulking on the couch, I found the living room dark. His car was gone. Panic surged, but not because I feared for him. I feared for what it meant. That maybe the performance wasn't working anymore. He came back late, quiet, calm, not angry, just different, detached. He slept on the edge of the bed, facing away from me. In the morning, he made coffee like usual, but didn't say good morning. I tried another flare-up, asked if he even cared anymore, threw out a sarcastic, "Guess you're tired of me now." He just looked at me and said, "I'm tired of fighting." That's when it hit me. Not guilt, not regret. Fear. Because if he stopped reacting, I stopped mattering. And I didn't know who I was without someone chasing me. It didn't happen all at once. First, it was the subtle absence of invites. Dinners we used to attend together, group texts that got quieter. Then it was the way people smiled a little too politely when I spoke, as if carefully stepping around me. I told myself it was Liam's fault, that his awkwardness, his distance, and his unwillingness to hype me up had made us less likable as a couple. I said it to his face once, too, something sharp like, "Maybe if you were a little more charming, we'd still have friends." But deep down I knew people were pulling away from me, from my energy, my stories, my constant need to be the center of every table, every conversation. I made everything about myself, even our problems. A few close friends tried to check in, gently. One messaged, "Are you okay? You don't seem like yourself lately." I ignored her. Another asked if Liam was all right, and I bit back. "Why do you care more about him?" I didn't see it then, but I was burning bridges in the name of attention, and the more isolated we became, the easier it was to say, "He's the problem, not me." But I was the one holding the matches. When I couldn't get the response I wanted from friends, I turned to family. At first, I leaned on mine, subtly painting Liam as distant, checked out, and ungrateful. My mother nodded along, sipping tea. "Men don't change," she'd say. "You've always deserved more." Then I started going after his side. Little comments when his sister called. Passive-aggressive remarks about how his brother never supported us. I wanted them to pick sides. I wanted them to see what I saw, or at least what I claimed to see. When Liam found out I'd told his mom that he emotionally neglected me, he looked like I'd slapped him. "Why would you say that?" he asked, voice quiet. "Because it's true," I snapped. "Or at least, it feels true." We didn't speak for 2 days after that. It wasn't long before holiday invites stopped coming from his family. His sister unfollowed me. His brother left our group chat. I told myself they were all fake anyway, that I'd never really belonged. But when Liam stopped defending me to them, when he stopped asking for peace and started spending weekends alone, I realized I'd made enemies out of allies, and still, I told myself it wasn't my fault. They just didn't understand how hard it was to be me. The trip was supposed to be a reset, a week at a beach resort with 2 other couples, sun, drinks, and group dinners. I imagined myself glowing in sundresses, making everyone laugh, and Liam falling back in love with me under string lights and ocean breezes. But it didn't go that way. From the start, he was distant. He laughed at other people's jokes, not mine. He excused himself early from conversations, and when I asked why, he said, "I'm tired. Not everything is about you." That line lit a fuse. By the 3rd night, I had spiraled. I drank too much at dinner. I told the table about our fights, loudly. I cried over dessert and stormed off barefoot from the restaurant patio. One of the wives followed me. The others stayed awkwardly at the table. Liam. He didn't chase me. When I got back to the room, he wasn't there. He returned hours later, wordless. Calm. I demanded to know where he went. He just looked at me and said, "I needed space. You embarrassed both of us tonight." That was the first time he said both. And for a moment, I felt it. The crack in the performance. The echo of my voice is too loud, my tears are too forced, and the silence from others is too long. But instead of reflecting, I hardened, told him he was cold, emotionally absent, a shell of the man I married. He didn't argue, just went to sleep. That night, I didn't cry because I was hurt. I cried because the script wasn't working anymore. If I couldn't be adored in real life, I'd manufacture it online. I posted beach photos from that vacation, carefully cropped to show only me, smiling beneath golden sunlight. The captions were cryptic. Sometimes the brightest smiles hide the most chaos. The likes rolled in, so did comments. Stay strong, queen. You deserve happiness. I ate them up. Every post became a performance. Photos of me looking flawless, quotes about outgrowing people, hashtags about healing, about strength, about finding peace. Never once did I mention Liam, but everyone knew. Friends from high school messaged, asking if I was okay. Distant cousins offered support. Strangers chimed in with heart emojis. It felt intoxicating. Liam saw it, of course. He never said a word. But I caught the look on his face when I'd show him a picture I planned to post. "Does it bother you?" I'd ask, teasing. He shrugged. "I just think real life matters more than filtered versions of it." But I didn't want real life. I wanted the version where I was a survivor, a phoenix, a goddess rising from ashes he supposedly created. Truth didn't trend. Narratives did. And I was writing mine with every tap of a touchscreen. One night, after another dinner where Liam barely looked up from his plate, I snapped. "I can't live like this anymore," I told him, arms folded, voice sharp. "If something doesn't change, I'm done." He looked up slowly, fork mid-air. "What exactly do you want to change?" I blinked. "You, us. The way you make me feel invisible." He set his fork down and leaned back. "I don't think I make you feel invisible. I think you feel invisible when people aren't constantly feeding your ego." That one hit. But instead of hearing it, I recoiled. "So you think I'm the problem now?" "I think," he said calmly, "that if you need validation that badly, I might never be enough." I gave him an ultimatum that night. Change, or I'm leaving. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't beg. He just nodded, stood up, and walked out of the room. The next morning, he was gone. No fight, no scene, just silence. And suddenly, I had the stage all to myself. But there was no one left to watch. The silence was louder than any argument we'd ever had. At first, I treated it like a standoff. Surely, he'd come back. Men always did, especially men like Liam, quiet, dependable, and too nice for their own good. But a week passed. Then 2. His things were gone. The drawers emptied, his side of the closet barren. No calls, no texts, just absence. I tried to post my way through it. Selfies with bold captions, healing journey stories, and playlists titled Reclaiming Power. But every night I scrolled through our old photos, zoomed in on his face, looking for signs I'd missed. Had he been pretending all along? My mother asked if I wanted to come stay. I said no. Friends offered drinks and distractions. I declined. I didn't want comfort. I wanted vindication. I wanted someone to say he'd made a mistake, but no one did. People were kind, but distant, cautious, as if they'd seen too much and heard too many stories. I was the common denominator, and that terrified me. I told myself he was weak, that he ran because he couldn't handle a strong woman. But at night I'd stare at my reflection and wonder, what if he left because I broke something that can't be fixed? And what if the applause I craved was actually the sound of everyone walking away? I thought silence would make him come back, that the universe would tilt in my favor if I just posted the right picture, wore the right outfit, and told the right half-truth to the right friend. But weeks passed, then months. Still nothing. No grand return, no dramatic apology, no second chance, just a man who had decided that peace was more important than pretending. But in my mind, I couldn't accept that. I told anyone who asked that he had abandoned me, that he walked out when things got hard, that he was emotionally unavailable and cold and probably never loved me to begin with. I cried on cue, rehearsed lines, tilted the blame so perfectly that even I began to believe it. I crafted a version of events that erased my manipulation, my neediness, and my destruction. When people started pulling away again, I told myself it was because they were jealous or biased, that Liam had poisoned them against me, that no one really knew what I'd been through. I didn't see a woman who had pushed too far. I saw a woman who was unfairly punished for asking to be loved louder, and in that illusion, I stayed. There were quiet nights when the echo hit me. A scent, a song, a photo buried in a drawer. I'd pause, caught between nostalgia and guilt. I'd wonder if things might have been different, if I had listened more, screamed less, and needed less. But those thoughts were dangerous. They threatened the story I had built, the one where I was the wounded woman who gave her all and was left behind. So I'd smother the memories, reframe them. He never really tried. He should have loved me harder. He knew I needed more. And yet, deep down, something small and soft would whisper, "What if he did? What if you were just too loud to hear it?" I hated that voice, because if I believed it, if I truly faced it, then I'd have to admit that I didn't just lose Liam. I destroyed him. Eventually I met someone new. His name was Brandon, charming, successful, always on. He complimented me before I even finished speaking, said I was magnetic, that I lit up a room. I let myself believe him. Brandon didn't know my past. He didn't see the fights, the manipulation, or the trail of scorched earth I'd left behind. To him, I was exciting, fresh, and full of life. So I leaned into that version of myself again, laughed louder, wore brighter colors, told exaggerated stories about a cold marriage I had bravely escaped. I played the heroine, the survivor, but something felt off. Brandon didn't ask about my silence at night. He didn't see through the rehearsed stories. He didn't challenge me. He adored the performance, because it mirrored his own. We weren't partners, we were mirrors. Reflecting what the other wanted to believe, and somewhere deep inside, I missed the man who made me face myself instead of just admiring the costume. My fault? No. I doubled down. Told new people that my ex-husband was emotionally unavailable, that my friends were never supportive, and that everyone had betrayed me. And when even those people started drifting away, I chalked it up to bad luck. Not choices, not consciously. Cons. I told myself I was healing, that I was rising, that I was better off without them all. But the truth was quieter. The truth was a dinner table with one plate, a phone without unread messages, a mirror that didn't flatter anymore. Still, I didn't acquiesce. Just bad luck. I became the kind of person people pitied, but didn't want to be around. The kind who made every story about herself, the kind who never apologized, the kind who blamed the storm, but never questioned why she carried the matches. Even now, I'll catch a glimpse of someone who reminds me of Liam, and for a split second, I'll feel that old pang, that itch to be seen again. But I no longer believe I deserve it. Because in the end, it wasn't about him. It was about me. And I never saw it until it was far too late.